After sitting abandoned in a barn for nearly 30 years, this 1980 Chevrolet Camaro has been destroyed by mice. Decades of rodent infestations have turned this car into a biohazard and one of the biggest challenges I've ever faced. Buckle up as I tackle everything from live mice to dead mice and even more in between, including a stench so horrifying it could burn your eyeballs. All in the name of getting Grandpa's old car back up and running so he can go for one last ride in it. The transformation is epic, and the emotional reaction at the end is well worth the wait.
Holy.
Okay guys, well it was about a week ago that Josh, the new owner of this Camaro, struck a deal with his grandpa to pull the car out of his barn in exchange for the vehicle. The only problem was the state that it's in, and that's why it's being brought to me right now. After a 2-hour drive, leaving a trail of stench behind it since the driver's window was down the whole way, we got the car rolled off the trailer and into the studio, and after quickly repositioning it over the drain pit, I was finally able to take a closer look at it, and let me just say that I knew I was in for a huge challenge. After a few minutes spent talking with Josh, his girlfriend, and his dad about the car and some of the crazy stories involving it, they were off and it was time for me to get to work. Now, of course, curiosity got the better of me and I had to really take an in-depth look at the car and what I was going to be dealing with. Like you saw just a minute ago, the exterior of this car is filthy and the paint is heavily oxidized, but that pales in comparison to the mess inside. The entire car is full of mouse turds, nests, and what looks like some kind of fertilizer, but when I opened the trunk, I was blown away. The entire thing is full of lentils that the mice brought in over the years, and also left them in many other places around the car, like in the vents. Safe to say it will be a miracle if this car is salvaged today. Alright, well as I finally get to work on the car, I'm of course starting with the exterior as I always do, though this time I'm using some of my all-purpose cleaner as a pre-soak agent to help make it easier to blast all the dirt and grime off the paint, though it's especially important to start with the exterior on a car like this because there's a good chance that the seals around the doors aren't going to hold, and it would be a shame if water got inside if the interior were already clean. Another important step with a vehicle that's been sitting for as long as this one has is to spray out the crevices really well. There's inevitably going to be an enormous amount of dirt and other debris hiding in there, so patience is key as it's going to take a fair bit of effort to get it all blasted out. Starting on the passenger door here, and I have to say that so far I'm impressed with the condition of the paint. I mean, it is of course heavily oxidized, but there isn't much for rust around the car, and the dirt is for the most part coming off. There have been a couple spots though where there's been some residual left behind that should hopefully come off with my wash mitt in a little bit. Okay, now as I tackle the hood of this Camaro, the pre-soak with my APC is going to help soften up the dirt here that's been stuck on the car for nearly 30 years, but there's a good chance there's going to be some left behind. Honestly, that's to be expected though, because 30 years is a really long time, and at that point the dirt and the paint would practically just become one with each other. That being said though, I'm pretty confident that a little bit of agitation with my wash mitt will get that removed pretty quick. Now as I move to the door jambs here, I made sure to take a big breath before I open the door, because like I mentioned in the opening, this car smells so incredibly bad that I know I'll have my respirator on the entire time I work on the interior. I've worked on a few cars that were destroyed by mice, most notably a 1967 Ford Mustang that smelled similar, but I can say with certainty that this one is so much worse. Moving on to agitating around all the emblems and other crevices with my detail brush, and this step is even more important today given how long the car has sat, but as I do this you'll notice the car has Berlinetta badges all over it, which was a more luxurious trim level at the time. I'll have more background on the vehicle a little later in the video, along with some pretty wild history of this car, so stay tuned. Okay, well with the car washed and dried, it's time to turn my attention to the engine bay, though I was not at all prepared for what I found under the hood. The second I had the camera set up and was about to start, this little guy came to investigate things, and I can't say that I'm at all surprised. The mice have made this car their home for the last 30 years, so seeing one still living in it really just makes perfect sense. And don't ask me why, but I named the little guy Wild Bill. Just seemed like a fitting name for him, though I'm hoping that's the last I see of him today. Alright, with some degreaser sprayed on, I'll do a quick agitation to get things cleaned up a bit before spraying everything off. And while you are going to see me use my pressure washer here, that's only because this car isn't going to be running anytime soon, which will give it plenty of time to dry out. In any other circumstance though, I would always use a garden hose to rinse things off. Okay, well, once again, I had to open the door to get all the floor mats out, and man, I just cannot get over the smell in this car. I'm sure some of you know the smell I'm talking about and can empathize, but all I can say is that I'm glad I won't have to smell it all day. With all the mats out of the car now, I'll dump all the debris and turds into the garbage, and then use some APC in my drill brush to get them clean. Alright, well, the moment I've been dreading all day has finally come, and that's to start tearing into this interior to see what sort of fun surprises I'm going to find. That, of course, starts with getting the front seats removed, and of course, it's gross underneath them. But when I took the back seats out, well, it got even worse. I found huge amounts of fertilizer, lentils, and mouse turds, along with some nests, and of course, dead baby mice. Seeing this is truly wild, and definitely puts this car right at the top for dirtiest vehicles that I've ever worked on. Next step though, before actually starting to clean things, is to get the sill plates removed, and then with the owner's permission, I'll also cut away the headliner so it's not dangling in my face all day. Now as I get these mouse nests pulled out of here, it didn't take long to find another dead baby mouse. And having worked on cars like this before, well, it likely won't be the last. I'll also be using my shop vac to deal with the mess inside this car today instead of my central vac, because I really don't want any bit of this going through my vac lines, because it's just plain nasty. Okay, well here's the first of what I'm going to assume will be many dumps of the shop vac today. Hopefully my garbage can hold it all. Moving down to the carpet now, and as I start sucking this all up, you can see that it's in pretty rough shape. The mice started chewing away at the carpet at some point and had even done the same thing to the driver's rubber floor mat. Pretty crazy considering they typically use the foam from the seats to make nests, and these ones were hardly touched. Okay, now as I deal with this giant nest and the rest of the mess here, I wanted to take a second to remind you guys that there is a new video over on my other channel, The Yard Geek, so make sure you head over there to check that out after this video. This time I shifted my focus to winter prep like harvesting my garden, burning a massive pile of weeds, and of course getting my irrigation lines all blown out. If you're at all curious about what I get up to in my spare time, or to see what my acreage is looking like now, then check out The Yard Geek. I promise you won't regret it. Starting on the rest of the interior now that the carpets and seats are vacuumed, and of course the glove box is packed full of chewed up road maps from back in the 90s, but what was super cool is that I found the original manual for the Camaro, and it was actually in good shape. Definitely setting that aside for Josh so he can keep it, but one thing I know he doesn't want to keep are all the lentils that the mice left in the ducts, so with the crevice tool in my vacuum, I'll get those all sucked out. Now, even though I knew what was in the trunk, I still had to shake my head when I saw this again. The sheer amount of lentils the mice brought into the car is insane. No clue what they did with them because it sure didn't seem like they were eating them. Maybe they used them to make nests? I don't know, but it sure is fun to suck them all up, though I did have to empty my shop vac like 4 times just on the trunk alone. Okay, moving to the seats now, and I'm of course using my Detail Geek carpet cleaner for the job like I always do. You can find it over on my website at detailgeekautocare.com, where worldwide shipping is always available, as is our loyalty program where you earn points on every purchase you make that you can then use to get discounts on future orders. Seriously though, I would never recommend or sell products that weren't top shelf, so if you've got dirty carpets or seats in your car, then my carpet cleaner is the easy choice. Moving inside the car now, and I figured this was a good time to give you some more of the backstory on the car. So like I mentioned in the opening, the new owner Josh just got this car from his grandpa, who was the one that parked it 30 years ago. I guess Josh had heard stories growing up about his grandpa's old Camaro, like how he had run from the cops a few times, and a story about how his mom had stolen the car in high school to go to a party, crashed it, and when his grandpa found out, well, apparently he kicked her in the butt so hard her feet left the ground. Anyways, a couple weeks back, Josh and his grandpa had gone out to the barn to look at the car, and he knew the moment he saw it that he wanted the car and wanted to get it fully restored. When his grandpa said the car was his if he could get it out of the barn, well, who wouldn't take that deal? Pretty cool story, and this is definitely a very special detail today. Here's the half bucket of positively disgusting and smelly water sucked out of the Camaro today. Gross. Okay, getting to work on the interior trim now, and of course I'm using my all-purpose cleaner and steamer to clean everything, but I do want to caution that when working on older vehicles, you have to be very careful with steam. It's incredibly easy to damage the plastics and turn them white, as they just aren't as durable as newer plastics are, but that being said, if you can do it safely, this combo truly can't be beat. Alright guys, well as I start cleaning a few of the items I removed from the car earlier, like the seatbelt receivers and the door sill plates, I wanted to ask you for a quick favor. If you're still watching right now, I can only assume that you're enjoying this video, so if you are, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And maybe even consider sharing the video with a family member or a friend. The algorithm is a difficult thing to crack these days, so it would be a huge help to me if you could do that. And while you do, I'm curious, what did you find the most shocking about this car? Was it all the dead mice, which I think there were 8? Was it Wild Bill, the live mouse running around the car? The trunk full of lentils? All the mouse turds and nests? I know there's a lot to choose from, so let me know down in the comments. Okay, moving back outside now, and it's time to get to work on this paint, which of course starts with my quick detailer and clay bar to ensure the paint is perfectly clean and free of any contaminants bonded to it before I start polishing. Okay, next up is my finishing polish to hopefully bring a little bit of shine back to the car for Josh. And while there's no question I could have done more, Josh had told me that there's a very good chance the car is going to be resprayed as he intends to fix the rust and do a little bit of body work, so there was no need to polish it. But I couldn't resist and really wanted to get the paint looking a little better for him and for when he shows his grandpa the car again. Next step now is to quickly get some ceramic spray coating applied to the paint to give it a bit of protection and hydrophobicity. Second last step now before this detail is done is to use my best selling glass cleaner and waffle weave towel to get all the glass perfectly clean and streak free, As a reminder, you can find both at detailgeekautocare.com, and I'd highly recommend picking up a couple of bottles because once you see how well it works, you'll need more. Trust me. Alright, the very last thing to do with this Camaro is to run my ozone machine in here to eliminate any of the residual smell before we take a look at how incredible this car looks.
Hey, come on in. Take a look at the car.
Holy
Oh my god.
A little different, eh?
yeah. Oh man.
You look so much better.
Well, you have to look inside, obviously that is where most of the work was.
That is unbelievable. Oh my
Smells a lot
gosh.
better, that's for sure.
It was pretty rough.
Oh my gosh, man.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
That's unbelievable.
So I gotta ask, what would your grandpa think seeing this car now after leaving it for so long?
I might have to bring it to him slowly. He might have a heart attack seeing the thing. Well, my grandpa, my mom who crashed the car originally and stuff. I don't think anybody thought it was ever coming out of that barn after how bad it got. So I can't wait to show him. He's gonna.
Yeah, that'll be exciting for sure.
Might bring a tear to his eye, and I can hardly get the guy to smile sometimes. So it'll be pretty special. Thank you.
Absolutely. You got some work on your hands, but yeah.
I think.
Pretty sweet ride, so.
Yeah, I think you saved me a lot of grossness. You got the gross part out of the way, so that's a huge step. I would have been at this for a week, and like I said, the state it was in, I didn't even want to pull it into my garage or bring it near the house. Now I'm a lot less afraid of the car. Oh, awesome, man.
All right, guys, well, a grueling 15 hours is what it took to completely transform this 1980 Chevrolet Camaro. and I gotta say, this thing is looking incredible. Safe to say that was definitely one of the craziest disasters that I have ever worked on. I'm not really sure how you top that, but yeah, that one was crazy. So if you guys enjoyed this transformation, please make sure you smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and do me a favor, go check out my other channel, The Yard Geek. Enjoy the guitar outro, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.